Welcome back, dear traveler. In this episode, you will become a monk in a 12th century monastery tucked deep in the snowy valleys of medieval France. Outside, winter holds the land in silence. Inside, you will rise in darkness, tend to simple duties, and walk the corridors worn smooth by generations of footsteps before yours. You'll warm your hands beside the hearth, copy sacred texts by flickering candlelight, and feel the weight and comfort of a life lived without haste. This is a place of quiet purpose, of sacred repetition, and of peace carved into every stone. Let the day behind you fall away now. The doors have closed. The world has quieted. Come in. The monastery awaits. You are already awake. The cold has roused you gently. No shock, no jolt, just the slow awareness of your breath in the dim and the softness of wool drawn close to your chin. Your cell is silent but not empty. There is presence in the quiet, the calm of stone, the memory of centuries, and the soft breath of wind beyond the shuttered window. You lie still for a moment, wrapped in warmth, listening to the hush. The bell has not rung yet, but your body knows it soon will. You rise slowly, careful not to let the warmth slip too far away, and draw your robe around your shoulders. It smells of cedar and wool and thyme. The floor is cold. Your bare feet find it gingerly, but it's a familiar discomfort, expected. You light a beeswax candle and watch as the flame flares, steadies, and begins to dance against the gray walls. Its light touches the edges of your room, a wooden stool, a folded blanket, your worn prayer book resting near the cross. The corridor outside is dim and hushed. Stone arches curve overhead, catching faint flickers from wall sconces. You pass other cells, each one silent, each door closed. In the distance, the snow brushes gently against the glass windows, soft and constant. Then, the first bell tolls. Its voice is low and rich, echoing through stone like a slow heartbeat. The others stir. Doors open with soft creaks. Sandaled feet move across cold floors. No words are spoken, none are needed. The chapel calls, and you go. The air inside the chapel is colder than your cell, but somehow it feels warmer in spirit. Candles line the altar. Their flames tremble, but do not fail. You kneel with the others. The prior begins the chant. You follow in murmured Latin, your voice one of many, weaving through the dark like threads of gold on linen. There is no rush here, no clamor, just breath and stone and ritual. When lauds concludes, you return briefly to your room to wash. The water in the basin is cold enough to make you catch your breath, but it wakes your skin and sharpens your mind. You dry your face, comb your hair with your fingers, and wrap yourself again in warmth. The scriptorium awaits. You gather your tools, a narrow quill, your ink, the parchment you've been copying for weeks. It is a psalter, one of many the monastery produces. You are halfway through a page, just beginning the opening lines of Psalm 42. You know the words well, though each must be drawn with care. One smudge can spoil the page. The scriptorium is quiet, save for the occasional rustle of robes or the scratch of a pen. A small brazier warms the space slightly, but your fingers still feel the bite of winter. You rub them once, then begin. Quem ad modum desiderat servis ad fontes aquarum, as the deer longs for streams of water. The work is slow. It must be. Each letter is a prayer, each line a devotion. Hours pass like mist. The bell rings again, terse, the third hour, and you pause your work to pray. Then you head down the steps to the kitchen. Here, the world feels different. The hearth glows with orange light, and the scent of onions and barley fills the air. You roll up your sleeves and begin your task, peeling, chopping, sorting. The stew is simple, nourishing. Every part of it has a place. An older monk sings under his breath as he stirs a pot. You know the melody, a hymn you sang in your novitiate. And you hum along. There is warmth here, not just from the fire, but from the shared labor, the unspoken companionship. After the meal, you slip out to the cloister walk. The snow has quieted. The sky is pale. You breathe in deep, and the cold clears your lungs, sharp as mint. Your footprints are the only ones in the garden now, and they press softly into the white like ink on parchment. The bells ring once more. Sext, midday, and you turn to go. The monastery calls, the rhythm holds, and the day continues, slow and sacred. The refectory is the warmest place in the monastery. As you step inside after none, the mid-afternoon prayer, you feel the change at once. The stone walls here hold heat longer, and the great hearth at the far end blazes gently, fed by thick logs gathered during autumn. Long wooden tables stretch in orderly rows, and high-arched windows, glazed with glass flecked by age, look out over the snowy garden. The light outside is beginning to fade. Winter days are brief. Already dusk begins to smudge the corners of the sky. You take your place on the worn bench. You know the grain of this wood well, how it dips slightly in the middle, how the edge has been softened by the years. Before you sits a simple plate, a wooden spoon, and a small cup for watered wine. Nothing more. The brothers file in one by one, robes brushing the floor, some still bearing snow on their shoulders. No one speaks. All is quiet until the bell sounds again, and the prior begins the meal with a reading from a leather-bound book, his voice steady and resonant. Tonight's fare is humble. Barley stew with bits of root vegetable and leeks, a round of coarse brown bread, and a sliver of cheese, wrapped in cloth and carefully sliced. The flavors are simple but satisfying. The bread is warm from the oven, the stew thick and fragrant. As you eat, you listen to the reading. It's a story of Saint Martin, who once gave half his cloak to a freezing beggar. The tale is familiar, but it lands differently in winter, when the cold is real, when your own hands remember the sting of early morning frost. You glance across the table. No one looks up while they eat. This is not a time for chatter. It is a time for nourishment and reflection. Later, after the dishes are cleared and the last crumbs swept from the tables, the brothers drift into the warming hall. You follow, cradling your cup of wine, now steaming slightly from the fire's heat. This room is rounder, more intimate. Thick tapestries line the walls, not for decoration, but insulation. They soften the stone and catch the fire's glow. The benches curve in a loose circle around the hearth, and you settle in near the middle, where the heat reaches best. The prior joins you. His eyes are kind, and his hands bear the quiet strength of age. He does not speak often, but when he does, it is with care. Tonight, he speaks of the snow. He recalls a storm from his youth, when the drifts reached the top of the cloister walls. How they spent 3 days in silence, bell cords frozen, chapel doors sealed by ice. He remembers how they melted snow over the fire, how they read by lamplight for hours, wrapped in blankets. There is a peace in his telling. Not a boast, not a lament, just the memory of endurance, of a life held close to the seasons. You listen, sipping slowly, and the wine warms you from the inside. Around the room, others have begun to doze, heads bowed, hands folded in laps. The fire crackles and sighs, casting dancing light across robes and stone. You close your eyes for a moment. Behind your lids, the world remains bright. The glow of the hearth, the soft murmur of voices, the weight of the day held lightly in your chest. You feel safe here. Small, yes, but safely so. Part of a whole, bound not by walls but by rhythm, by prayer, by snow. Eventually Compline draws near, the final prayer of the day. You rise once more, moving slowly now, limbs heavy with warmth and rest. The chapel is darker this time, lit only by a few low candles. The windows show only night, deep and starless. The snow continues to fall. Kneeling again, you feel a different stillness this time. Not the sharp hush of morning, but the heavy hush of day's end. A closing, a settling. The chant begins, soft and low, and you let the Latin roll over you like a lullaby. In manus tuas, Domine, commendo spiritum meum. Into your hands, O Lord, I commend my spirit. When the final bell fades into silence, you return to your cell. You place the candle in its niche. The flame wavers once, then steadies. You sit on the edge of your cot and slowly unlace your sandals. The robe falls away, the woolen blanket returns, and the cold once more wraps the room in its arms. You lie back, stone above, stone below. But between them, warmth, stillness, the scent of wax and wood smoke, the echo of chant in your ears. Outside, the monastery sleeps, and so do you.